Hey Lilith, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you today, Lily?
Cool, cool. We won't have a lot of time because of the load shedding coming up. But
Yeah,
anyhow, I thought maybe for our uh, panel of parts session, I thought we could. There's a position I saw. It really fascinated me because I gave it to a student of mine,
mm-hmm.
and he misplayed it. He's a good student, but he misplayed it, and it puzzled me because it's not complicated, but
Yeah,
it made me think like how would I explain to him? I don't know if you see the position I've just shared.
yeah, yeah. I can see it.
Okay, so it's an interesting position and one which it's black to play. So maybe I need to clarify that. Um,
Black to clear.
yeah, it's
Okay.
black to play. Yeah, black is it's black to play. Maybe yeah, exactly. It's nice when you look at it from black's point of view. So it's black to play, and it's a very interesting position because let's say you can see. I mean, as a strong player, you would immediately see that rook e8 is a move you need to seriously consider,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and the actual mechanics behind this position is the relationship between material and time, right? Let's say
yeah.
black does something silly. I thought we fixed this. It's black to play. Let's say black. Huh? Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna triangulate here. Why?
Okay.
Okay. And if I triangulate, I change the position.
So,
Yeah, no. If I triangulate, I change the position because I know there's no castling exactly. Yeah. So let's just do it fresh as a position. Okay, so in this position, it's black to play. Okay, so what I was saying is, let's say black plays a6, which is not an optimum move in this position. A white will
yeah,
castle, and now after let's say h6, white will play knight c3, and these are silly moves that black is making. Rook a d8 and bishop a4, and
yeah.
you've got this position where we've arrived to, like, and white is totally fine. White is
Mm.
completely fine. But now, looking at the position more in detail, if you go back, white is a pawn down, pawn up clearly, but is behind in development. So now, what we would need to look at is like how many moves does he need to complete development? He needs to castle, he needs to develop the bishop, let's say, and he needs to develop the knight, and then he's fine. If he gets there, then he's fine. So he needs
Yeah,
3 moves. Black has completed development, which means black has 3 moves to attack white, which should be enough to cause damage. And just knowing that is a big deal. And this is where I think sometimes it's very difficult to relay the interrelationship of different concepts in chess or different elements. And if we take this position like this and we say, okay, black has got 3 moves that he can make before white can do anything, then you start to see the complexity of this position and how he can gain advantage, right?
yeah.
So my student didn't really see all these details. He did see rook f e8, which is the correct move to start with. It's a correct move because it's a forcing move. Number one, keeps the king in the center, right?
Yeah,
After which, white has various ways of dealing with it. He could play, let's say, king f1. This is one move. He could play bishop e3, which most kids wouldn't do because It gives big material.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Even though you end up gaining some time and exchange.
exactly, but then again, because you see what I'm saying, it's like this relationship between material and time. It's,
Yeah.
it's it's at first when you mentioned that there's a relationship between material and time, it's a bit esoteric. But now when you start actually thinking like, oh, yo, I'm in trouble, let me give back some material to gain some time. You start seeing
Mm.
how these things like are interrelated. So
I,
King,
I remember seeing an interview from Gary Kasparov, and it was back when I was still learning the game of chess, when I was still a beginner.
uh-huh,
And he was speaking about this relationship between material, time, and space. And I remember at the time I did not know what the heck he was talking about. It's only now where I'm starting to be able to appreciate these things. For example, this bishop e3, like you said, the average person would just think, I'm not doing this.
I'm
Just
not
giving back.
giving up material.
But you actually think about it, after the exchanges and the check, you have king f2. You
Yes,
gain time on the rook.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And thanks, Paul, I think, for liking the stream. Thank you so much. Ah, Chopin. Chopin is around.
Chopping is back.
Yeah, Chopin has always been a major supporter, man. Thank you so much. Always. Without, like, even there were times when I've streamed with Paul, always, Grey Wizard, and Chopin. It's like 2 in the morning or whatever. Yeah, yeah. So, okay. So, Bishop e3 and King f1. So, what's fascinating is like, okay, let's say King f1 is the move that's played.
Mm.
Now, what's interesting is that the subsequent moves are pretty natural. Knight e4. Specific target, f2. And here, you can't even play bishop e3 because it loses material.
Yeah, because of the take the knight g3
And knight
check.
g3 check, exactly, yeah. And you're picking up the rook. Very easy to see that. And f3 is worse.
Yo, what an ugly move to have to play.
Yeah, it's mate.
Yeah.
So very simple position. So we can maybe conclude that King f1 is not really the optimal move. But what bothered me was that, okay, so if I analyze bishop e3 and we go bishop e3, fe3, rook takes, king f2, rook a, knight here. I think white is very happy with this scenario where he comes to this position, right?
It's better than the other variations.
Exactly. But what bothered me is like you can't be 3 moves ahead and this is your best case scenario that you reach equality. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then just thinking like that makes you think like, oh, PP on the PP, right? Put pressure on a pin piece, right? And now suddenly, after knight d5, it's more than just about equality. Now you're reaching a little bit for more, right?
Mm.
And this questioning attitude to the position is what really fascinated me. If you understand that in this position, these tempos are a lot enough, just the understanding that the tempos are enough for me to ask for more. And this is the point I was making. I was like, actually, as I was teaching the student, I was learning more because it's quite a, like if you've played strong players, one of the things that really always impresses you is like how, Chopin, well done for spotting it, is how the strong players can pinpoint when there is an opportunity in a position. And this understanding that, well, I'm 3 tempos up. I might not know that what the move is, but let me take my time and figure it out. And this is where this understanding really comes. So knight d5, yes, that's good to see. But white can respond with short castling, let's say, first and foremost. He's got other moves he can respond with, but let's start with short castling. Now,
You know,
yes?
like, I was just thinking of something very crazy in this position.
Yeah.
After castle, now rook takes e3.
With what?
Rook takes e3.
Exactly. Yeah. This is the move that actually surprised me. I didn't find this move. I saw this one with the computer. So
Because that pin is just, it's too much. That diagonal.
exactly, yeah. And after pawn takes e3, which you think is quite obvious. I'll show you why it's a very complex concept.
Knight takes.
Okay, this obviously is very good for black, because he's gonna discover somewhere, or he's gonna get his material with advantage and so on, right? So this is very good for black. But it raised another question. When you take on e3, he could just play c4. Right?
Yeah.
Now, this is a fairly forced line. And so let's say rook e2. And now we are looking at what? D takes c4, rook b2, and the d pawn is fairly weak, eventually to be rounded up. And I think it's very difficult to also develop this knight. And the position is fairly in white's favor anyway. So it made me also now start thinking, okay, what about the obvious knight e3? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And after pawn takes, rook takes, king h1, and we go rook e2. And now it's not easy, yeah? You have to play knight c3. Because now you have a chance to go into this promising endgame. Because black is very active in this endgame.
Yeah.
So, one last idea was what here? Was knight c3. And yes, you could go for this e3, but okay, takes c3, bc3, takes, rook takes with check, right?
Yeah.
And now king d2, rook g3, rook hg1, rook d8, check. And yeah, black is not only a pawn up, but the rooks are active. This is very promising for black. And now, in all cases, we see this relationship between material and time, and how black is sort of interchanging this gain of tempo he has into something much more permanent, which is material.
Yeah.
And it's such an easy concept to relay to kids, because normally they don't really have enough to join the two. Because for years, we teach them to stick to material. If you gain a queen, you're winning the game. So, and also sometimes the difficult thing is that in chess, no one explains when these things change and what makes them change. Right?
Yeah.
So, again, same position. But now, what's changed? It's black to play. He still has everything, but we've closed the position. So although black is is 3 tempos up, in this position he actually has a disadvantage because there is no targets. So tempo is very valuable if the position is open. Yet it completely works against you if the position is closed. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we've closed the position here, he's just gonna lose. It's just gonna take time, but he's definitely gonna lose. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
And again, this understanding is very important, because then a person wouldn't think of sacrificing a pawn in such a position because the pawn, the position is closed. If it's open, then it makes sacrifices much easier, because this is the thing that always like vexes an experienced player or a non-experienced player. Is like, when do I know it's safe to sacrifice and when it's not? Especially pawn sacrifices, because they are minute. At the same time, they are not sort of trivial. They are not like things you can just do it without thinking. With a strong player, you sacrifice a pawn and then you'll be defending for the next 30 moves, and you lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and this is where I'm getting at, without making like a simple thing complex. There is a game I saw when I was young. I saw it, and we had this guy from Ukraine who had come visited, and he was explaining this position, and it stayed in my mind. First of all, it impressed me, and then at the same time, it didn't make sense to me. You understand?
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to me at all. It's a game of Fishers. And Fischer in this position, Mark Taimanov played rook d4, and Fischer played king g1 here.
King G1.
No. Was it king g1? No, he didn't defend. He didn't defend the pawn. He just simply played c5. You get it? And again, we get to this thing that, okay, he understood that in this position, material is not as important as the tempo required. So let me show you what I mean. So in this position, let's say if you defend the pawn with g3, which looks like a normal move, I would make this move without even thinking. without even thinking, he's attacking my pawn, I'll play g3 and it's fine. And now suddenly look, rook d2. Right? And if white now goes c5, which is the whole idea, then he's got rook e8, he's threatening mate.
Yeah.
Now you have to defend with rook c1, using tempo to defend this. And after knight e4, he's pretty much secured at least a draw. Because if you exchange, he's going to come with his rook here, he's got at least a draw, if not more.
Yeah.
Right? And this is just out of a natural move where you prioritized material over tempo. Now, being an experienced player, before when rook d4 was played, he figured, okay, when I push pawn and take on b6 and it gets to b7, it will be a question of tempo more than material. So, in the game, he just simply played c5. And after rook takes h4 check, he played king g1.
Yeah.
And now Taimanov had to play rook b4. And cool, he played rook b3. Just nothing changes. The pressure is there. Alright? So
Yeah.
So here, Taimanov took on a4, Fischer took on b6. Can't ignore. Take with the pawn. And now he has to play knight d7. It's quite interesting that in this position, if you play rook b4, he takes, pawn takes, and now he plays bishop c6. Game over. The knight is dominated. All squares. So if you keep a bishop 2 squares away from the knight, it's always dominated. So here, he played what was it? Not that. Not knight d7. He went knight d7. Okay, knight d7 is what he played. And after b7, knight b8, rook d3 is winning.
Wait, I have a question. Can you move 2 moves back?
Yep.
What? No, after 97.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, because I was looking at bishop c6, but then okay, one is check.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but again, now you see, at Fisher's point, he's now applying the same concept, but much more sophisticated the way he does it. But it's the same simple concept that you were showing the junior at the beginning with Rook E8. So I thought it was very instructive, that relationship between material and tempo. Because I just understanding it makes a huge difference. And to the kid I was explaining to, it's like a 12-year-old, under 12. Actually, no, it's probably 11. It really blew his mind of how he could. Now he could, because we had seen it, a train of different incidents where he couldn't find this. He couldn't find these moves which required the conversion of material to tempo. Anyway, before ESCOM visits us, do you have any question before we close?
No. That's why I was just quiet listening the whole time. It's very interesting, this relationship between these two. And I mean, I think even in my game, I probably would have played g3 just to protect my pawn. But this whole idea of just giving up a pawn, making the game now more about a tempo
Yes.
instead of the material,
No,
it's
absolutely. Yeah.
very powerful.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. ESCOM is going to visit us and make sure that we turn our candles off. Have a lovely evening. Thank you so much. Anyone else who joined us, always like and subscribe. It's going to help us a lot. I really want us to grow this. I've come to the point that I actually want our channel to be an educational channel. No matter what anyone else is doing, we'll focus on that and keep it like that. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ruben.
No, it's a pleasure.